你好，你好。
机门即将关闭，请所有旅客抓紧时间入座，以避免尽快离机。
Welcome aboard this Air China flight.
欢迎您搭乘，请随收看机上安全注意事项。女士们、先生们，感谢您的关注，祝您旅途愉快。
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. We wish you a safe and pleasant journey.
请留在座位上，并系好安全带，确保您的手提行李妥善安放。是的，安全带只灯熄灭。飞机停稳后，请小心打开行李架，以免行李滑落。全体机组成员再次感谢您选乘星空联盟成员中国国航公司的航班。我们很荣幸您共同度过了一段愉快的旅程，期待与您再次相会。祝您在北京愉快，再见。Dear passengers, we have just landed at Beijing Airport, Terminal 3. The outside temperature is 30 degrees Celsius or 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Kindly remain seated with the seatbelt fastened, and make sure stand back is stored properly until the seatbelt sign goes off. And please be careful when open the overhead compartments, as items may fall out. It has been our pleasure serving you. Thank you for flying with Air China, a member of Star Alliance. We hope to see you again soon. Have a nice day.